Okay, so now I'm going to go over some of the points from this transcript, the things I think are most useful for learners of this dialect, particularly, so this is Lebanese for the most part. So he does throw in a little bit of MSA, but that's to be expected on a media outlet. So here we have, so he says, إذا تبعنا عمرة عاد على السياسيين تعرفوا كم واحد من يلي حاكميننا مفروض يكونوا ببيتهم من عشرات السنين. Now the first thing I want to show you is the way he said حاكميننا. Now in MSA, this would be حاكميننا. It's like those that govern us. حاكمين, so حاكم. Sorry for the bad writing, I'm getting used to the drawer still. Hakim is one that governs. Hakimin. Oops. Put an extra one there. Hakimin is those that govern, and then he added na at the end. Now, like I said, MSA, you'd say something like Hakminna, but he's throwing in a little bit of a, almost sounds like a French twist, because, you know, it's Lebanon. So it says Hakminna. So keep an eye out for that. That one threw me off when I was listening. Next one is Tarfu Kem Wahid. Now, let me backtrack a little bit. Kem Wahid. Kem is the Levantine word and MSA for how many. Not how much, only how many. So if it's an amount you can count in discrete elements, then it would be Kem, right? So, do you know Tarfu Kem Wahid? Now, in Levantine, when you say Wahid, if you're not talking about a number, the number one, then it refers to a person in general. So, if I were to say لما الواحد بيقول إنه ... it would mean when somebody says that. So, it's a general way to refer to a person that you don't know exactly who it is. Okay, so next term I want to show you is mafrud. Now mafrud comes from the root farada, which means it's basically to impose or to enact almost. You know, you would use it for imposing sanctions. So الولايات المتحدة فرضت عقوبات على إيران. The United States imposed sanctions on Iran. But in this sense, when you turn it into mafrud, it's basically, in Levantine, it's basically like supposed to, or almost like a should. So, if I were to say, مفروض عليك إنه تروح المدينة, it would mean you are supposed to go to the city. So that's a useful word in Levantine. You find a lot. All right. The last one I want to show you in this, and this isn't Levantine. You'll see this in media outlets in general. Ashirat. Now, this is an easy concept to grasp. Ashir means 10. Ashirat is plural, so tens. But in English, we don't really say, do you know how many of them should have been in their houses tens of years ago? You would say, we usually say dozens. Actually, I think the Arabic version makes more sense. Tens of years ago just makes more sense. But in English, we'd say dozens. So that's usually how I translate it. Tens works, but dozens sounds better in English. All right, moving right along. هل صحيح. This is a bit of MSA. هل صحيح إنه تدخل بعض الجماعات والمحامين بالمشاكل العائلية عم بيحول الزوج المعنف لقاتل. عم بيحول. So this is extremely important in Levantine. It indicates present progressive. So in English, it would be adding ing to the end of a verb. So, هو, oops, عم بيروح. هو عم بيروح. He is, it almost looks like Kim, but it's not. هو عم بيروح. He is going. So, it's the same for every conjugation in the present tense, obviously. هو عم بيروح, هي عم بتروح, نحن عم نروح. So, super useful. I think it's pretty simple. And it's definitely one of those words you're going to want to know. So, عم بيحول is transforming, is turning something into. الزوج المعنف, so a violent husband, the violent husband literally, but violent husbands. لقاتل. Now, this says, I'm going to say you read it as لقاتل, a killer. But in Levantine, you usually drop the cough sound in most cases, not all cases. And you can say the cough sound and everyone will understand you, but لقاتل, to a killer. So, and that comes from the word قتل, as you may know, to kill. Alright, now we come to النازحين السوريين بلبنان صاروا بيدفنوا موتاهم, is what they said, بالأحراش. So, نازحين is displaced people. نازحين, yeah. So, al-Suriyin, so displaced Syrians, which is probably due to the war, as the reference. بلبنان, in Lebanon. So, the displaced Syrians in Lebanon, صاروا بيدفنوا. Now, I really want to show you this little construction here. Sod. Sod is a very useful word in Levantine and some other dialects. I might even do another separate post. It deserves its own post, but it basically means to become or to start. Something's starting to happen. So هو صار, هو بيصير, شو صاير is like what's happening. Very useful word, so keep an eye out for that, and just know that it's usually become or starting to, something like that. So صاروا Now we went over this a minute ago with the present progressive. So started doing something. So دفنوا means they bury. So they're burying موتاهم, they're dead. So صاروا عم يدفنوا موتاهم بالأحراش. الأحراش, in this case, is forests, or it could even be something like more like a yard. Basically, it's supposed to be kind of shocking. So they might be referring to these Syrian refugees almost in Lebanon have begun burying their dead in, could be yards. So متاحهم in MSA, it would be, أموات. أمواتهم. But, they say things just differently in dialects. So متاحهم, and everyone knows what he's saying. It's just one of those things you're going to have to learn. Okay, so moving on. المفاعيل الرأوة هي حقيقية وكيف بينزلها الدين. المفاعيل الرأوة. Now I want to show you this word, not because any grammatical or structural significance, but because of the pronunciation. So he says رأوة, but in MSA he would say رقية or رقية. So this means, it's usually translated as like exorcism. So hil, the question word, are basically, مفاعيل الرأوة, the effects of exorcism, هي, referring back to al-mafa'il, which is plural for effect. هي حقيقية. Now he says حقيقية, and that's going to throw you off if you've never heard it before, because in MSA it would be حقيقية, which sounds a lot different than حقيقية, but it's just one of those things you'll have to hear a lot. المفاعيل الرأوة هي حقيقية. So are the effects of exorcism true? حقيقية, referring back to مفاعيل again. وكيف, and how. بينظر, does it see or view. لها الدين, so the بينظر is masculine, so that refers to al-din, that's what is viewing. So religion is viewing the رأوة. So how does religion view it? And this it is exorcism. So are the effects of exorcism true? And how does religion see it? So that's obviously a question that a very religious society might raise. And we know that most Arab societies are very religious, so keep that in mind. Going down a little bit. تجربة عملها برنامج, I think he said 15 44. كيف, or he said كيف بتتخيل شكل الشخص اللي متحكي عم بتحكي. We went over that. Well, we went over this construction. عم بتحكي. حكة is to speak or to talk. عم بتحكي. So you are talking بالتليفون, on the phone. من خلال, so through or via or by way of his voice. So an experiment that the 1544 program did, it, referring back to the experiment, feminine. كيف بتخيل, how do you imagine the appearance, the way the guy looks, الشخص, a guy, a person, يلي عم تحكي بالتليفون. So the person that you're talking to, يلي is a great word to know for dialect. So يلي means which, or it's basically a catch-all word for which. You can also use illi, and depending on the area, people will use one more frequently than the other, but you'll be perfectly understood either way. Sorry about that. Yelli am teki. So this replaces MSA's, illati, or illati, or illavine. Oops. Yeah, it's getting real ugly. Anyway, so it is a very useful and very easy word to use. That's one of the great things about dialect. So moving down, this guy says, he's on the phone, he says, لحظة شوي لأعرف شكلك كيف. لحظة, moment, so he's moment, and then شوي is like a bit. So like just hang on a second, or one moment please. لأعرف, so لأعرف. Literally, we might translate this as something like for I know, for, and then أعرف, I know. But really, if you kind of think about it and you put it in context, what he's saying is so that I can find out or figure out, so that I can know. And then shaklik, so that's your shakl, your appearance, your, literally, shakl could be shape, but he means appearance. Kif, how. So, for that, I can know how your appearance is. So he's trying to figure out how this guy looks based on his voice. Min khilal sotu. Min khilal, by way of his voice. Go down just a bit and go to the end. I skipped a couple sentences here and there that I didn't see too much importance in. Al-Mu'ta'ilin, drop that cough again. Lebanese بسجن تدمر. Sijin Tidmur is the Tidmur prison, which is in Palmyra in Syria. It's a notorious prison. Lots of a lot of violence allegedly happened there. So they're wondering, Al-Mu'ta'ilin Lebanese, the Lebanese detainees in the Tidmur prison. Waynhum. So Waynhum, very common. Wayn is where, and then Wayn home. Oops. Sorry about that. Where are they? You can also say another very common thing. Oops, sorry about that. Waynik, where are you? Wayni, where am I? Wayna, where are we? You can add any of those, and it works perfectly fine. And then 1544 مع Tony Khalife. So 1544 is the name of the program, and then he says مع Tony Khalife, with Tony Khalife. Al-Tinain, in MSA you'd say Al-Ithnain, means Monday. Ba'd, after Al-Akhbar, the news. Al-MTV, so MTV is the name of the channel, obviously you recognize that. In Levantine, means on. Sometimes can mean to. I went to my house, but in this case, it's kind of short for MSA's al, which is on. So those are the important points from the transcript I just wanted to show you guys. So hope it was helpful, and you can leave some comments if you have any questions or advice, or if I got anything wrong, let me know. Thanks.